Jamie Shagnon, your Director of Sports Information here at King's College, and this is episode 2 of the Leo's House Party podcast. And thanks for tuning in again today. We had such a great response last week, and we're really excited to bring you episode 2 here today. And we've got a lot to talk to. We talked to 3 amazing guests, and we'll get to them a little bit later, and we'll introduce them a little bit later. But, wanted to talk a little bit about sports and the landscape that is right now, and a few topics that we'll get to, about 4 or 5 today. But we just really wanted to get started by talking about our 3 guests. And there are 3 new head coaches here at King's College, and that is new women's ice hockey head coach Jordan Ott. She'll be joining us first, followed by Josh Roosa, who's the new Kings wrestling coach. And we're really excited to have both of them. And then Tom Seravalli, our new head men's ice hockey coach. So 2 ice hockey coach. We'll talk a little puck today, along with getting onto the mat with Josh Roosa. So we're super excited to talk to those 3. Fantastic interviews, all 3 of them. Young, exciting coaches, people that really want to make their mark here at King's College, and people that are going to do great things. So we're excited to talk to both of them. But before we get started, I got some topics in sports I wanted to just bring up and talk about, and things that people might be interested in. The first thing that I really was interested in, and it was last week with the restart of the WNBA, was how amazingly well the coverage was on ESPN, and how the ratings were up amazingly well. I think it was 65% over what was last year in 2019. And a lot of it has to do with the addition of some college stars to the game. Sabrina Ionescu being the number 1 person, of course. Didn't have a great first game, but really exploded in her second game before her unfortunate injury. But played really, really well in that second game, 37-7. But the one thing I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to kind of comment on today, was just the phenomenon that was the orange hoodie in the beginning of the WNBA tip-off. Lots of celebrities, former sports stars, current sports stars were rocking that WNBA orange hoodie, which was sold out. You really couldn't get it anywhere. I mean, I looked online. It's $50 online to get it, and it's still really hard. And it's part of ESPN's In It for Good WNBA marketing campaign. And I mean, whoever came up with that, fantastic job. I mean, it was awesome. You get those hoodies out to people that are influencers, and really made a difference. I mean, I think, LeBron James had one on, Rebecca Lobo, Trae Young, Julie Foudy, Daria Gumbale. I mean, people that you would know in the sports game were wearing them. And it was really interesting to see just how the phenomenon, just how the support for the WNBA, which is an amazing product. If you haven't had a chance to watch a WNBA game, you really should if you're a basketball fan. The ball movement is phenomenal. The players are great. The fundamentals are phenomenal. The athleticism is insanely good. So if you get a chance, definitely go and watch a WNBA game sooner rather than later, and you'd be surprised on how amazing it is. And or maybe you won't be. You shouldn't be. It's great basketball. It's highest level for the women's game. And with the NBA making its return in the bubble, the women's game also in a bubble, and they're both thriving right now as you watch it. But that orange hoodie, top selling item on Fanatics for over a week. I mean, it's not, like it says, it's not rocket science. It's just exposure. Get it out to the people that are followed on social media, and then it makes a splash. And of course, that gets it out there. But so kind of interesting. I thought something I saw that was interesting. So if you're interested in getting that orange hoodie, if you've seen it online, it's $59.99 on Fanatics. You can get it on Amazon, I think, as well. So sign on and pick one of those up. I think they said it was over 623 million potential impressions with over on Twitter and Instagram. So pretty crazy. That's a lot of eyeballs seeing your logo. So kudos to the WNBA for that marketing plan, and it's obviously paying on in views and eyeballs on their product. So great job there. Another thing that I'll get to in between our interviews, but I wanted to preface now, is the NCAA for Division III released a college-bound student-athlete guide for the 2021 season, and there are some phenomenal things in there, and we'll get to it a little bit after this interview with Jordan Ott. But I'll kind of get the top points of it, but if you have not seen it and you're a student athlete looking to come to school this year, not only at Kings, but anywhere you may be going at the Division III level, I highly suggest reading it. I mean, it really has some good things on the return to play, the coming to college, and a lot of other things. So, but before we get to that, I'd love to send it over now to Jordan Knott, our new head women's ice hockey coach. Great interview. I mean, just full of energy. Someone that I think is gonna, take off and really take the level, take the program to the next level. She was just super sharp and was fun to talk to. And I think you guys will really, really enjoy this interview. So without further ado, we'll send it on over to the head women's coach here at King's College, Jordan Knott. Well, we have a wonderful guest today, someone that all of our hockey fans at Kings should be getting used to hearing from here soon. She's the third head coach now in Kings women's ice hockey history. Native of Rochester, New York, she was the USCHO National Division III Rookie of the Year back in 2014 at her alma mater of SUNY Potsdam. She's the all-time program leader at Potsdam in goals, points per game, goals per game. She also played professionally for the Buffalo Beauts of the National Women's Ice Hockey League back in 2017-18. It's our pleasure to welcome to the Leo's House Party podcast the new women's ice hockey coach at King's College, Jordan Knott.
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. And Jordan, I guess first of all, I just want to ask you about the news that just came down last week. And I've been asking a bunch of people that question. With the fall semester being postponed for you all, being your first semester here at Kings, how was the conversation that you had with your team, and kind of where do you go from here with you and your program?
Yeah, I think the hardest part is a little bit just the unknown of everything. I think that's the biggest question. Is a lot of the times people have questions and our answer still is I don't know, or we're not sure yet. I think that everyone's doing their very best to make sure that we're going to have the best outcome and the best experience for all the student athletes. But a lot of what we're hearing still is it's in the process of being worked through. And I know that the coaches in the UCHC, especially the women's side, have been in very close communication, trying to figure out just exactly how we're going to go about things when things reopen and when we're able to do things. But I know talking to my girls, we're trying to set up a Zoom call to make sure that we're all on the same page. But at the same time, we're trying to collect as much information before we make any real decisions or real announcements.
Yeah, that's really the right way to go about it right now. And there's so many unknowns you're talking about. So I guess, when you come to Kings after coaching both hockey and softball at your alma mater of SUNY Potsdam, what's something that excites you about being here in Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that excites me is my opportunity to get back into the hockey world. I kind of stuck with softball a little bit more just because of where my road kind of led me, but I'm very excited to get back into the hockey world. It's definitely the thing that I love the most. So I'm really excited for that aspect of it. And I think with the program being so new, I think there's a lot of positive momentum, and I can really help to shape and mold the program into a winning culture. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah, Jordan, you had the opportunity to play a lot of these teams that you'll kind of now coach against. You were in the Division III landscape for a long time, and you understand the depth of talent that it comes at this level, especially in the conference, or I guess the multiple conferences with the UCHA and the MAC. What's the plan for helping kind of take Kings from, newer program to a team that can really be competitive within those conferences?
Yeah, I think something that I can take from my own playing experience and kind of apply is, we played teams such as Elmira, who's now in this league, and Plattsburgh was in the league that I played in, and they were ranked 1 and 2 in the nation for the majority of the time that I played. And I think in order to be a good player, you have to learn from those around you that are better. So I think that's what I have to do as a coach as well. They have fantastic coaching staffs and other coaches around the UCHC and Division III. I can learn from them, and if we're doing our job right, if they're running systems that are working for them, we should be emulating those and trying to put those into our game. So obviously something's been working for those upper end teams such as Elmira for year in and year out. So I think that taking those strategies and learning how to kind of throw it right back at them will be key.
You've kind of been, thrust into this situation. You were hired about a month and a half ago, like literally in the midst of all the coronavirus stuff going on, and kind of having to uproot and move here to Wilkes-Barre. Have you had a time to, maybe sit down and watch some film, check out your team? How do you think your style fits? We've talked about how previously how your style is and how you want to play, but how do you think that fits in with the personnel here at Kings and maybe some of the incoming freshmen you guys might have?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of talking with Coach Bryce, who was the interim last year, who did a wonderful job recruiting and bringing in a pretty big recruiting class because we're going to be losing so many seniors due to the first original class finally graduating. So we're going to have a pretty big roster, which I think will help fit our needs and things like that, as far as having different personnel groupings and being able to put together lines and lineups that will match well with other people. Honestly, my younger sister plays at Newman University,
Mm-hmm.
so I got to watch them play live. I went and watched her play against Kings last year. It's an exciting game. So learned a little bit there, but still trying to learn everybody's strengths. And hopefully, if we're able to get on the ice in October, that will be a really good starting point. I know the girls are eager to get out on the ice, and I know I am too.
Yeah, some news with the NCAA last week. Switching from weeks to days might give you guys a little bit more leeway to maybe ease the women onto the ice as it becomes safe, even in smaller groups. So hopefully, there's some plan that kind of comes out with that. But definitely would be great. You talked about Bryce. Did a great job last year in that interim role. I think really stepped up to the plate, and we're excited to have him, back with you this year. So I guess I kind of want to take a step back, rewind a bit, and look at your professional career where you played, in Buffalo. And, what kind of experience was that like to share the ice with some of those other professional women and, players that played it maybe at the higher level that you had an opportunity to play with and learn from?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. It was something that I really didn't see coming. When I was obviously going through my recruiting process, getting ready to play college hockey, the NWHL didn't even exist. So I kind of made my decision of where I wanted to go to school, assuming that after my 4 years, my hockey career was over. When I got invited to go to the tryouts, kind of just figured it would be some extra ice time. And I was like, yeah, sure, give it a shot. And it ended up working out to be a really cool opportunity. It was kind of the year where all of the women who were on the Olympic team weren't around. So it did kind of open a door for a lot of players who might not have normally gotten the opportunity, including myself. But it was great. I mean, some of the players that were on my team were previously Olympians. Other people that I played against were parts of Olympic teams or played Division One. And I mean, when they have televised games and or things like that on Twitter that they televise with women's hockey, it was very cool to kind of be able to participate in things like that. So it was a really cool experience, and I learned a ton of things that I think will really help me when it comes to coaching.
As you start to kind of put your imprint on this program at Kings, obviously there's a type of young woman that you want to recruit, someone that that will stick out to you. What are some aspects of incoming, or I guess recruits or people that you're looking to bring on the program? What are things that you're looking to find in a young woman out there to play hockey here at Kings?
Yeah, I mean, I think that every college coach goes to tournaments or whatever game they're recruiting, hoping to find good hockey players. But there's a lot more to the equation that makes you successful at the next level. A lot of the intangibles, things like how you react to failure, how you react to your teammates, how do you listen to coaches, your coachability. That's a big one for me, is being able to actually take feedback positively and apply it. How are you able to kind of adjust to things like that? Some of the harder things to see while recruiting are more of the important things. And I think that in order to have a successful on ice experience, you have to have that positive base under you off the ice. So I think that that's really important as far as recruiting, to make sure that you're getting the right people and not necessarily always just the most talented.
Yeah, I always talk to coaches. They always say body language on the bench is something that is so important to watch, and some of those young athletes don't see, but everyone else sees. So, when you're not at the ice or on the softball diamond, what's something you do to enjoy, or that you enjoy, that you just do to shut your mind off?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I actually just got a puppy the past couple months. His name is Stanley. He's part husky, part schnauzer, so he's kind of got some whiskers going on.
Right.
But he's really cool, so I enjoy spending time with him. I'm a big movie fanatic, so I haven't exactly not enjoyed the quarantine time. I really do enjoy myself a good movie. So those are really what you'll find me doing, outside with the dog or inside watching a movie.
So, you said you had been watching some movies. Any suggestions for our listeners out there?
Well, the one recently I just watched was the new Hamilton, the live show that they put on Disney Plus, which my mom was very keen on seeing. So we watched that the other day, and that was good. So I would definitely shout that one out.
Definitely a good suggestion there. So I guess the last question for you, Jordan, before we let you go is, as a young woman in the college athletics coaching landscape, a lot of people can look up to you. And I think, It's great to see that women are getting more of an opportunity to be coaches now, and rightfully so. I think it's great. And as a role model and a leader, what's some advice you'd give to someone that was maybe in your position earlier, a couple of years ago, on how to get into the coaching profession?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, the coaching profession wasn't exactly what I was aiming for, but now that I'm in it and doing it, it's something that I probably will stick with and really thoroughly enjoy for the next bit of my life here. I think the biggest thing, obviously, just to young girls in general, especially girls who are kind of at that age of getting ready to go to college, and I tell this to every kid that I recruit, is just you have to pick a school that, like, if hockey's taken away, if your sport's taken away, will you still enjoy that school? That's like, and as much as sometimes that could hurt you in a recruiting situation, I think it's also an extremely positive way to phrase, like, you really have to love your education, you have to love your school, and all the other aspects of it, as well as the sports, as well as the coaches, as well as the team. And as far as getting into coaching, if it's something that you love, which I love hockey and I did not want to give up sports, there's so many opportunities out there, whether it be a graduate assistant or an internship or an assistant coach somewhere. So just kind of keep your options open. And if it's something that you want to do, there's tons of places that you can put your foot in the door.
Well, Jordan, we appreciate you taking some time to talk with us today. We're really excited to see you in action here whenever it may be, hopefully sooner rather than later. But to our Kings, hockey fans out there, make sure to be on the lookout for Jordan whenever we get competition back and going out at Revolution Ice Center. But, we're really excited to have you on board, Jordan, and hopefully we'll see you here soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Hopefully we'll be back on the ice soon.
A big thank you to Jordan Knott for joining us here on the Leo's House Party podcast. That Kings women's ice hockey program, I think, is really ready to take the next step. And I think Jordan is the perfect person to be in charge of that program as it starts to step up the ladder in the UCHE and the MAC. So thanks to Jordan for joining us. And we were super excited to have her on and just hear from her about what she thinks is the next step for the Kings women's ice hockey program. So thanks again to her. But before we went to Jordan, we were talking a little bit about this document that the NCAA had released this past week, and it was called the 2020-21 Guide for College-Bound Student Athletes. And it isn't exclusive to Division III, so it covers Division I, II, and III. But there's a lot of pertinent information for the Division III student athlete. Again, if you're coming to Kings, if you're going somewhere else, if you're transferring in, lots of information. And I think the things that are really the biggest use for a Kings student athlete that might be coming back is page 26. It's a 36-page document, or about 40 pages, that talks about anything from what is the NCAA to initial eligibility, international students, homeschool students, recruiting calendars, questions, non-traditional online courses, transcripts, test scores. I mean, literally anything you could probably want to ask a question about, they cover here. And I think the thing that I noticed, which was of the biggest use, was the Division III information, obviously, for Kings being a Division III school. And it really references the fact that, Division III, there are not athletic scholarships, obviously. So, but 80% of the student athletes receive some form of need-based financial aid here at this level. So if you feel like I'm not getting an athletic scholarship, so this level might not be, something I want to look at, that's not actually the case. And a lot of times, Division III schools end up giving more need-based aid than an athletic scholarship might give at a Division I or II level. So it's really good for recruitable student athletes or student athletes prospects to do a lot of research into the level and find the best fit for them. But some other things I thought were really interesting in this were the sliding scale of qualifiers, how you qualify to play. What's most important, how many, what sports seasons start and finish, recruiting calendars. and then obviously how COVID is kind of adjusting a lot of those things. So definitely take a peek at that. And the way that you can get to that is to go to the NCAA website at fs.ncaa.org, and you can find that on there. And this is good for high school students who are hoping to compete in college sports. Again, not just at the Division III level, but 1 or 2. Parents, that have questions, family members that have questions of high school student athletes, high school, guidance counselors, athletic administrators, high school non-scholastic coaches, AAU coaches that might have questions that they want to ask about for their competing athletes. So it's really a one-stop shop, and I really think that people that are interested in playing at this next level should take a peek at this. And remember, the Division III is the biggest. It's the biggest division of all 3 of the NCAA divisions. There's 438 schools that are currently at the Division III level. That's more than almost more than 100 more than the next biggest division. The enrollments are very manageable, around 1,800 median enrollment here at the Division III level. The class course size obviously are much smaller. You can get a much more personalized experience. And as someone that went to Division III school, shout out to Lynchburg College, now the University of Lynchburg, down in Lynchburg, Virginia, I can attest to the fact that you really get an opportunity to do a ton on campus. This is how I got into this field. I was able to step right in and do a lot of the job that I have now, thanks to the experiences that I got on a smaller school, because there was just more of a need for people to do certain things. So you'll notice also at Division III schools, there's more sports. I mean, right now we have 28 here at Kings. On average, there's about 19 per college at the Division III level, and that's more than any other division. And so it's a division that has a lot of diversity, a lot of different schools. You've got schools that are very high academically, schools that are very enrollment driven, but they all compete together. And I think that diversity is really emblematic of our society. You work and play next to people that come from different backgrounds and different socioeconomic backgrounds and race and sexual orientation. And I think that is very, very represented at this level. So if you're a student athlete out there looking to go to college to play sports, Division III is just a great option. So take a look at this document. Also, over last week, the NCAA approved something kind of interesting, and it was something that the oversight panel, the playing rules oversight panel, agreed on, was that they would approved rules to allow student athletes in all sports to wear patches on their uniform for commemorative or memorial purposes, as well as to support social justice issues. The current rules in some sports don't allow patches. Obviously, in some sports, there just aren't spots to wear patches or certain things like that. But the panel members of the Oversight Committee reaffirmed and expanded on existing rules, which now allow student athletes to place two places on the uniform, one on the front and one on the back, to express support and voice their opinions. Obviously, with all the social injustice going on right now in our country, and this is a great thing. It really is something amazing by the NCAA to do. It does say that the uniforms need to be, or the patches need to be uniform and identical for those who choose to wear them, and they can't exceed 2¼ square inches on the uniform or on your warm-ups or whatever you end up wearing. But as long as they are uniform, you can do that. So the second location on the back of the uniform where the player's name would be, if they are allowed, names and words intended to celebrate or memorialize people, events, or other causes. So that's something that the oversight panel has ruled on, and another great thing that they're doing out there. So thanks to the NCAA Oversight Committee, and we're really trying hard to get the leader either Jason Fine, who is the new leader of the oversight committee, or the old president or the old director, who is Heather Benning, on here at some point to just ask her a couple questions about how they came to a lot of these decisions and maybe what's next. Are we going to have championships in the fall? Obviously, they're super busy and they might not have those answers, but we'll see if we can get one of them on to discuss what might be next at the Division III level. So I think then now would be a good time to send it on over to the new head wrestling coach at King's College, Josh Roosa, who, man, what a great guy to talk to. He's from the area. He went to Crestwood High School up in Mountaintop. So he gets this area, and I really think he knows what this program has been before, and he's really motivated to get to back to where it was. So we'll go ahead and send it on over to the new head men's wrestling coach here at King's College, Josh Roosa. All right, well, we are super happy to be joined today by a person that Kings Monarch fans are going to be very familiar with soon, if they aren't already, since he's from the area. He's the third head coach in program history for the Kings wrestling program. He comes to Kings, comes back to Northeast Pennsylvania after serving as an assistant and the co-head assistant at Division I Appalachian State. He was also an assistant at the University of Buffalo. He is a local product, so he went to Crestwood High School, where he was 143-18 as a prep wrestler for the Comets, where then he went to Bloomsburg University. He was an NCAA qualifier there at 149. But he's back now in NEPA, and we're really glad to have him as the new head coach of the Kings wrestling program. Josh Roosa, thanks so much for joining us today.
No problem. I'm super excited to be back and see my family and get back in Northeast Pennsylvania. I'm excited.
Well, we're super happy to have you back as well. But, first of all, kind of the thing that everyone's been dealing with, you get the job, and then the news comes out that our fall semester has been, pushed back for you all, maybe to the winter for 21 and hopefully then. But, how has it been so far kind of having to deal with that? And what was the conversation that you had with your team?
It's been – I've just kind of been rolling with the punches. I kind of came into this during this entire thing. So it's been a weird process, I'll say, trying to, make connections with the guys. I did have individual meetings with everybody on the team so far. I've had a really great time doing that. So just excited to get to know the guys. But, as the news came in, and obviously I just gave it to them straight and let them know that, this is what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty around what's going on, but stay focused on continually improving and just getting better as student athletes.
So, Josh, you come from App State, where you all were very young. Your team was young, but highly successful. I mean, you look at this roster of Kings wrestlers, it's young, but I think it's full of talent. How do you kind of bring that mentality of maybe some having inexperienced wrestlers have success early on in their careers?
I'm just excited to get to see the guys compete. I don't know a whole lot about them from a wrestling standpoint. I've really just been getting to know them personally so far. But from what I've been told and the kind of the stuff that I have been able to see, there are a lot of guys on the team that have some tools to be really successful. I think just getting them in a great program that's kind of focused on development. A lot of our guys, a big part of what I do is develop wrestlers. I'm not too concerned about, athletic achievement as far as, what they've done in the past. I know, they're at this point for a reason. They have a lot of skills that they have used to get to this point. And then it's now my job to kind of give them the tools to be successful at the next level. And, I think that's something that, I learned being at programs like Buffalo and in Appalachian State, where, we were underfunded and we didn't have the best athletes, but, we were able to take, some recruits that maybe weren't top level, recruits that a lot of the other Division I schools were looking at and rev them up and make them successful. And before you knew it, they were, competing on a national level. So, it's something that I've dealt with since I've been a coach. We I've always been at underfunded programs at the Division I level. So we were never getting top level talent and top level recruits. So we've had been focused on the development process, and I think that's going to be huge moving forward at Kings.
So you bring up a really good question or point, Josh, and the fact that, you're finding, I wouldn't say diamonds in the rough, but moldable student athletes to kind of fit your system. What are some traits and attributes that you look for in high school or prep wrestlers that you think, really translate well to what you want to do?
To be honest, I'm just looking for guys that are really excited about the sport, that want to be a part of our program and want to be a part of Kings. Again, I'm not too concerned about, results or, how they've done. If I go and watch them and they hustle and they work hard, and they wrestle really hard for 7 minutes, they're going to be a guy that I want. I know, I'm really good at teaching guys how to wrestle. And so as long as they have that X factor of, working extremely hard and wrestling a really hard pace, I think we can make them really successful.
Yeah, so this program. I mean, you've been in the area. You've seen the Division III landscape in this area, especially with Kings and the school down the street. I'm not going to mention them, but you had said earlier before when we had talked that you had come to Kings meets when you were younger, and so you understand the depth of talent that this league has and Kings has had. Kind of what's your first step in maybe taking this program back to kind of where it was?
I think it's about making it a very good option for these guys, and then have them understand that, you can come to Kings and be really, really successful. We've done it in the past. It's proven. We've had 18 All-Americans, 2 national champions, all from local products. I really want especially the District 2 and local talent of the local high schools around here to really understand that, if they come to Kings, it's a place where they could be highly successful. They could be All-Americans. They could be academic All-Americans and achieve at a high level. So it's just, making our image something that is desired by people and other coaches. And I think a lot of that's going to be also developing relationships with these high school coaches and just letting them know that, we're interested in their guys and that, we're going to do well by them. And it's my hope that, by getting those guys, those local talents into Kings, not only will they, elevate our program, but hopefully we'll start elevating the level of talent in the area as well at a high school level.
Well, certainly one of the best wrestling programs in the country is located right down the street at Wyoming Seminary, but there's certainly a lot of talent, in and around the area as well. So, Josh, when you had talked about when we'd spoken earlier, when you were just first hired about, the full athlete, the total student athlete, how important that was to have an academic and a student athlete, but also to participate in the community. How have you, seen that, and how has that been important for your programs?
It's been huge. We've done a lot of different things, outreach into the community, at Buffalo and at App. We were really big with an organization that they kind of locate kids and that have terminal illnesses and, bring them a part of the program. I was fortunate enough to do that at App my last couple of years. And we had a great student by the name of Nate Brown. He was awesome to have around the team last year. So we've done a lot of that stuff, and then just random stuff, just helping throughout the community, going reading at elementary schools and being a part of welcome committees and stuff like that when kids were coming back to school. We've done all that kind of stuff. And, I'm really excited to start not giving back to the community that's helped me so much. I'm really excited to start doing that. Obviously, being from the area, I was a product of a lot of great people. And I'm just really excited to be able to give back to that community.
Well, Josh, when you're not on the mat and when you're not coaching, obviously you have, right now, tons of free time, I guess. But, what's something when you're not on the mat or, when you're not coaching, what do you do to, enjoy yourself, to shut your mind off?
Well, right now I've been just spending a lot of time with my family. I've been away for a long time from these people, and I'm just really excited to be home. And I've seen my mom probably 10 times since I've been home, which is I didn't see her 10 times the last 7 years. So that's been fun, just being around my family. But I am a big golfer. I play a lot of golf. I think when I left North Carolina, I was about an 8 handicap, but I'm sure that's not what I am right now. But so I'm really excited to get back on the golf course. I'm actually supposed to go play golf with an alumni, Mike Riley, on Saturday. So I'm excited to get out on the course.
You bring up a really good point, Josh. Having known some student athletes, some wrestlers from the past, I mean, have you made it a priority to try to reconnect some of the older alums to, the wrestlers now?
Yes, it's definitely going to be a priority for me. I've had conversations already. I've had a lengthy conversation with Ned McGinley. He's been great to be a resource for me to connect me with guys that not only that I know personally, but guys that might not be in my era that I might not even have known were alumni. He's getting me connected with some of the older alumni as well. So. But yeah, I'm super excited to bring the guys back. I have personal relationships with many of them, the Mike Rileys and the Jason Rileys, Dave Morgan, Jim Morgan. I've talked to all these people already. Joe Arnone, there's a ton of guys I could name that I've had conversation with already. And, they're excited about it. I'm excited about it. And I'm hopeful that, they could really help me get the program going in the right direction fast.
Well, Josh, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us here on the Leo's House Party podcast. Gotta say, your graphics, your Photoshop work is fantastic. And as someone that does a lot of Photoshopping, I can really respect and appreciate the work you're doing. So, it's nice to have another Adobe guy here in the office. But, thank you again so much for your time. We hope that you hit them straight today out there on the course, and we'll definitely catch up with you here soon.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
A very special thank you to Josh Roosa for joining us here on the Leo's House Party podcast. It was great to hear some insight as to the type of athlete that he's going to recruit and the type of program that he's going to run here at Kings. And we think in the athletic department that he's going to do a fantastic job. So special thanks to Josh for joining us. And we're excited to see what his teams can accomplish on the mat, in the classroom, and in the community as we get back to normalcy here in Wilkes-Barre. A few things that I wanted to talk about prior to the start of this podcast and things that came out in the last week or so was the announcements by both Pennsylvania and Connecticut that they will try to go forward with high school sports. And I'd like to start with saying that that's fantastic. We want to see student athletes out there competing. Our coaches want those seniors that are being recruited and all the rest of the classes to be able to get out there and compete. This is a sports that a lot of these student athletes have been playing since they were children. So to see the opportunity to get out there and play is great. And some updates, PIAA, the fall sports update for Pennsylvania. Sports will start September 14th with football starting on September 18th. That's the plan as of right now. That will be without fans, at least right now. The PIAA said that there will be no fans in the stands, at least to start. We'll see. There is some petitioning going around to see if there can be some fans or maybe limit fans. But as of now, there are no fans in the stands for fall sports here in Pennsylvania. But hopefully they can get those games in and play safely. And safety obviously is the main thing. And we really wish the best for our local high schools here in the Wyoming Valley area, in Luzerne County, in all the counties around in District 2 up here. So we really want the best for them, and we really hope that they can continue. And then also over in Connecticut, they're doing the same. The Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference released their plan for fall sports, and that also has a delayed start, September 24th. And so they'll do the same exact thing as they practice, acclimate themselves to the heat, and then get back out onto the fields on September 11th is when full team practices will start. So some exciting news for our, possibly future Monarchs out there, or future student athletes that might be in college. But anyone that's competing in sports out there, please be safe. Do whatever protocols they say, stay safe, and do exactly what the healthcare professionals say, athletic trainers say, to make sure that you're keeping yourself and your teammates safe throughout this process. So still exciting news out there. It's great to see them making an effort to try to get the high school seasons in. And along with that, what is nice too is that I've seen a lot of teams and sports trying to make an effort to run some summer leagues here late in the summer as is safe. There's some sports that are a little bit more safe to play with less contact, and those leagues are trying to run maybe tournaments or showcases so that high school student athletes can get an opportunity to be recruited, which is so tough right now. It's tough on high school student athletes. It's tough on college coaches that are still trying to recruit right now and just can't because there's no big tournaments. But the tournaments that have been going on are doing film. They're making it affordable for college coaches to watch, and they're posting all that film so that both the student athletes and the coaches can get together. So kudos to those people running the tournaments that are really making an effort to, in the best interests of both the coaches at the college level and the recruitable student athletes. So good job on them. One thing, parents, as you're out there, if you are at these tournaments, if you're in close proximity to each other, remember to wear a mask. It keeps you safe. It keeps us safe. It keeps your student athletes and your kids and loved ones safe as well. So if you are at those tournaments, and make sure to social distance, stay away from each other if you can, and wear a mask to keep everybody safe. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and send it over to our final guest for this week's Leo's House Party podcast. A Philly guy who's coming up here to coach our men's ice hockey team, new head coach. Great talking to him. I think he's got an amazing energy. I think he's going to relate really well with our student athletes here at Kings. And despite the fact he's a Flyers fan, he's a really nice guy, a Philly guy. So we had a really good time talking to Tom, and we really think you're going to enjoy this interview. So without further ado, let's go ahead and send it over to Tom Seravalli. Well, we are super thrilled to have here on the Leo's House Party podcast the second head coach in Kings men's ice hockey program, where he comes to Kings after serving as the top assistant at Bryn Athyn College for the last 4 seasons. Prior to his time with the Lions, Seravalli was a assistant. I just gave you away, so I just kind of blew the intro. But he was an assistant ice hockey coach for the Philadelphia Revolution from September 15th to 2016. He was a 3-year standout at for the Golden Flyers of Nazareth College, where he played 3 seasons, 75 games as a Golden Flyer, scoring 18 goals and assisting on 32 others. It's our pleasure to welcome to the Leo's House Party podcast again, Tom Seravalli. Thanks so much, Tom.
Thanks, Jamie. I'm excited for the opportunity, and can't wait for the season. I know given all this stuff with COVID, but I'm excited. Our guys are excited, and just Kings Nation's excited.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, Tom. And first of all, you mentioned a little bit with the COVID, the news last week that came out, the fall semester being postponed. And so obviously you getting out on the ice with the guys, it takes a little bit of a postponement as well. Being in your first semester, how was the conversation with the guys, and have you talked to them about how you are going to kind of go forward from here?
Yeah, for us, I mean, to start, it's all about taking safety measures, and we're not looking at it as a bad thing. We're looking at it as let's not take our foot off the gas here and use it to our advantage. So our guys are excited. They know what's expected, what's to come, and they're keeping their eyes on the prize here.
Yeah, that's really all I kind of can do right now. So along with that, you get the job here at Kings, and you're obviously excited, but then now you're kind of in a waiting, kind of a waiting period. I guess first of all, what was it about Kings, that really excited you and made you want to kind of take that drive up the turnpike here to Wilkes-Barre?
I think for us, I mean, 1, the education is strong, 2, the community around it, and 3, even playing against Kings, I realized what talent we had, coming into it. So, working with them and getting ready for the season, I think the biggest thing for me that attracted to me is that, this is a place where you can win, and you have some solid players there. So, it was a no-brainer to take it over.
You've been in the Division III landscape now for a while. I mean, you were at NAS and as a player, and then coaching at Bernathen for the last 4 seasons, which is a Division III school. Had a chance to play Kings, as you said, and I don't know if you actually played them as a player, probably not, since it's in the 4th year. But having coached against them, how does Kings take the next step? I mean, you've seen the players in the program. Like, how do they take the next step? And in such a good league, the UCHC has had ranked teams. So what's that next building block as you go forward?
That was a long time ago, Jamie. But I think for us, it's, just focusing on the everyday tasks, just putting the hard work into practice, and even just mental preparation. I mean, right now we're going through something with Bob Wilkie at I Got Mind, and it just teaches us how to mentally prepare for what we want to achieve. So, given that I can't work with the guys right now, we're doing things off the ice, to get prepared for this upcoming season. So I think just taking it one day at a time, doing the team workouts, and then getting familiar with our systems, what systems we're going to run. I understand kind of the landscape, like you said, just, starting at NAS and then, playing some teams over at Bernathen. So sitting down, really identifying who we are as a team, and then taking it one day at a time kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the good thing is you've seen a lot of your players that you are now coaching play, and so that allows you to kind of maybe form your style to fit with the personnel that you have in Kings, but also, know what you're looking for when you're recruiting, So what's some things that you look for in incoming freshmen, and as you recruit, which is obviously difficult right now, like what are some aspects of players that you really are looking for?
For me, at the end of the day, the number one thing I look for is, that blue collar, hardworking guy. Hard work can outdo talent. So for me, it's someone who's going to be presentable off the ice, treated every day as a professional, to coming to work and kind of bringing that their lunch bucket. So for me, it's putting on the work boots, getting after it. Someone who's going to be responsible off and on the ice, and that's the number one thing I look for. Sure, we have some talent and we want some talent, but coming to work every day.
So, you've been around hockey obviously for a lot of your life. I'd love to ask you about how you got into playing ice hockey when you're younger, and then, what made you want to coach after you finished your playing career?
Believe it or not, I was, growing up, I was a soccer player, and one day, my cousins were playing ice hockey. So my dad said, "Hey, you want to try it?" And ever since then, I fell in love with it, and then kind of really took off there. And I just fell in love with the game, and being around it, and already speaking with my team, I can see that passion. So just taking off with it, I instantly fell in love, and for me, it's not a job; it's something I love to do every day.
So I'm assuming that you're a Philadelphia Flyers fan, and with the NHL getting back underway here, I guess Saturday with the first round. Give me some teams that you think are going to make a run deep in the playoffs.
Of course, Flyers. I think they got some young talent. They have solid coaching over there with great goaltending. So I think Flyers are going to run deep. I was watching Toronto a little bit. They got some young talent as well. You got to always watch out for Tampa Bay Lightning, and obviously our rivals Pittsburgh. So if I were to put a team on it, obviously the Flyers, but if not, you're looking at Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay.
I can't help but notice you didn't say Washington there, which is as a Caps fan, which is right there. But I think it should be exciting, and it looks like the NHL's done a really nice job with that bubble, and Toronto and Edmonton. So, when you're not on the ice, you're not watching hockey, what else do you do to entertain yourself? What is something you do to kind of, shut your mind off and just relax?
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I think, kind of the best place for me is getting on the course, playing some golf with some friends and spending some time with the family down at our shore house in Ocean City. That's my good escape place. But, for me, we have some rides down there and, you got the beach. So just golfing and hanging out with family for me.
Good thing about golf right now is that you can stay pretty socially distanced, especially for me when you're hitting it in the woods. You keep as far away from possible. So, so Tom, I'm going to ask you, this is the last question I want to get you. It's our new segment called Leo's Hot Seat. You're the first one to do it. So,
oh boy.
So we're going to give you a funny question and you're going to give us your best guess and we'll try not to rush you afterwards. So, in your estimate, how many square feet of pizza is eaten in the U.S. every year? Square feet pizza eaten in the U.S. every year.
Square feet. It's got to be in the millions, right? I would say 50 million.
The answer is 2.4 billion square feet of pizza every year is eaten in America. So you're not too far away. I mean, the millions, a little bit off, but
yeah.
Still pretty close. I mean, that's pretty crazy. But Tom, we're really thrilled to have you on board. Thanks so much for taking some time. I know, right now it's tough to, you're trying to balance a lot of things, trying to talk to players, trying to get recruiting stuff done. But, we appreciate you taking the time and, joining us here. And we're really excited to see you and your team back on the ice at Revolution Ice Center whenever it becomes safe to do so.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, Kings community. And I look forward to the upcoming season here.
A big thank you to Tom Seravalli for joining us here on the Leo's House Party podcast. Again, great interview, ton of fun with him. And I think he's going to be a guy that our Monarch fans are really going to love having around. I think our student athletes are going to really be pushed by him. I think he's got a passion for this program and this sport and to be a head coach at this level. So we're really excited to have Tom here and look to see what he can do with this team in the future. So last podcast, I really wanted to get an opportunity to say something to our senior student athletes that unfortunately did not have the chance to finish their 2020 season. And that goes for our junior PA majors as well. And I was going to mention it, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't overshadowed by anything. And I felt like today would be a good time to go back and revisit that. And it was really tough, obviously, with these decisions to make. I think looking back, obviously, with how this pandemic has just ratcheted out of control, is the right decision, but it doesn't take away any of the sting that our seniors had when their seasons were cut short and their careers possibly were cut short due to coronavirus. And a lot of our our spring sports and now our fall sports are dealing with it. Hopefully our fall sports can find some sort of avenue to compete in some capacity, maybe in the spring, maybe somehow. But, everyone's careers have been affected by this, but our seniors from the spring of 2020 might not have the opportunity to ever have any sort of finality to their careers. I think there was a lot that was said by our department from the top down about how that is going, and obviously with graduation being pushed back a couple times, and it's been hard, and we understand that, and we still care about you guys. Just know that, from the top down, from Cheryl, our athletic director, all the way down to all of our coaches, we're always thinking about you, and we're always going to be there for you, and you're always going to be Monarchs, and you can always come back here and feel like you're part of the family, despite the fact that you never had a chance to have a senior day, or you never had a chance to walk off that field knowing that it might be your last time. And hopefully we look back as in history as this, kind of unfolds, and you can look at it as I would say, a place that maybe hardened us, or a time that we really could reflect on how important athletics was to us and how important we felt about it and how big of a part of our lives it was. And maybe that as we go forward, we can, really, I would say, care and show passion in all the things that we love and not take anything for granted. And that goes for our personal lives, maybe the minute details we have in our work lives or things like that. Just appreciate everything that we have in our lives, so that when things are taken for us, we don't feel like we have to look back and feel like we didn't give everything to it. I think our student athletes here at Kings are some of the hardest workers I've ever been around. That goes for our coaches, our administrators, and for our seniors not to have that, that really hurts. It hurts us, and I'm sure it hurts you guys. So as, we kind of wind down and finish up this episode, just know that you guys will always be Monarchs for life. To our fall athletes that possibly don't come back, or, maybe just want to graduate and move on if the sports doesn't end up happening, or does, or we don't know yet. Obviously, there's just so much in the air. We're always going to be there for you, and, it hurts right now, but we will get through it. And that's what we do as Monarchs. We're tough, and we'll be stronger on the other side, tougher and ready to go in facing the MAC Freedom when we get a chance to do so. So appreciate you guys sticking with us this entire episode. Thanks so much to Jordan Ott, Josh Roosa, and Tom Seravalli for being amazing guests. We're excited about some guests we're going to have next week. Really excited. Some really good interviews, and we'll post those on social as they come. But again, thank you so much to them for participating, and thanks so much for listening again. This is Jamie Shagnon, your Director of Sports Information, and thanks so much for tuning in to the Leo's House Party Podcast. Take care, guys. The views and opinions by the host and guests of the Leo House Party Podcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of King's College. The Leo House Party Podcast is produced and presented by the King's College Sports Information Office, and any redistribution or reproduction of content in any form is strictly prohibited without express written consent of King's Athletics. Follow King's Athletics on social media at King's Monarchs on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and also visit the online home of Monarch Athletics at kingscollegeathletics.com.